Welcome to the Manpower Group Lab here at Vivatech. The past 2 years have created new challenges for employers in how to find and keep talent, as well as how employees want to work. More and more, people are looking for a hybrid way of working, and they want a job that is meaningful to them. That's meant that employee branding and a company's ESG is more important than ever before. Before businesses can even hire new talent, though, they need to be clear on their value proposition to employees. So, how can businesses improve employee engagement now and in the future? To learn more, I'm joined by Alain Roumilhac, the President of Manpower Group France, and Corine De Bilbao, the President of Microsoft France. Hello to you both.
Hi.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for being with us. So, Corine, let's start with you. I mentioned at the beginning that employees are looking for this hybrid way of working. What do they want from employers in this regard?
Well, that's a very vast question, but we're gonna try to summarize a little bit. In fact, I mean, if you look back, the employees who went home in 2020, the ones came back to work are very different, and they have very different expectation. Hybrid work is a must. I mean, it's a non-negotiable for most of the companies, and there is a part which is what we call the worth it equation. What's in for me? So that puts a ton of pressure on companies and on management. There are a few statistics. You know, we run what we call a work trend index worldwide with 30,000 people and in 30 countries. And what it does tell us, as an example, is that you look at more than 50% of employees are putting now health and well-being in front of work. So that's a big change in terms of how do you build expectation with employees. And the second thing is that more than 50% of the millennium and the Z generation is thinking of changing job in the next 12 months. So that's really about now what's in for me. I mean, what is the worth it equation, what we call it, which is a very interesting topic to debate, yeah.
Indeed. And so how has this forced employers to kind of become more flexible?
Well, flexibility, the way we look at it is that employees now are looking for trust and flexibility. So it forces you to, of course, I mean, work on the engagement of your employees. We've been working a lot on this at Microsoft. We do believe there is no one size fits all. I mean, you have to adapt to the expectation of your employees. And we've been working on a program which is called the 4X's. One is the well-being. The second one is the well-being. So how do you, I mean, get your employee healthy and take care of them? The second one is about the meetings. So we've been putting a frameworks on meetings. I give you an example. I mean, we have a 45 minutes meetings now. So it helps you, I mean, to refresh and go and step down. So we've been putting rules on collaboration. We work on what we call asynchronous collaboration. So you're not obliged to be always online. And of course, I mean, we've been working on the workplace, and this is a hybrid work itself, where we have been, from part of our DNA, very flexible in terms of the way we look at it. We of course signed something with our work council based on 3 days remote a week, and it's up to 5 days with the authorization of the manager. But we do realize you need a lot of conversation with the employees to define precisely what's in for them as an individual. So you can't get a collective thought about this. It's really one by one. We more and more go to personalization of the work, if I may.
Right, so it's not just about the job we're talking about itself, it's about the way people are going to be doing their job. So Alain Roumilhac, how has this way of working and finding these new attractive ways of working become part of employee branding?
So clearly this is part of the employee branding. If we start by home working, so which is only true for the 50% or 40% of the people able to do home working. But at least today, if you, in the recruitment process, you don't explain first what's the company policy in terms of home working and how it will apply. So to the candidate, you have no chance, so today, to attract the talents. And as Corine mentioned, and in some cases, for very scarce skills, you have people saying, okay, for me it's 5 days a week home working. Is it okay? Yes, no. And in some cases, it's the first or the second question into the interview. And depending on your answer, so the interview can stop just after. So all of this is extremely important, and especially in an environment of a big talent shortage. So if we had plenty of candidates, so we could manage more easily this situation. And this is true for today, more or less all the jobs. For sure, for the tech jobs, but also for traditional workers. So the employee value proposition is more and more important today in order to attract the talents, but also to retain the talents, which is as important as attracting the talents.
Right, and can you go into a little bit more about this value proposition? What do future employees want from their employers? What kinds of things do they expect from their job?
So first, this is what Corine mentioned. So they want more flexibility, more autonomy, more home working. They want that we take care of their mental fitness. So because we have seen that we had a lot of people having burnout. So during the pandemic, so they want us to take care of their well-being. They want a better decoupling between work and home. So this is why. So today this is much more difficult to attract people when you ask them off working. So during the evening or during the weekend. So because the work-life balance is more and more important. Culture matters. They want more and more to work in a company of which they are proud of. Great values, great engagement on the ESG. And as Corine also mentioned, they want that we listen to their voice, and they want to be seen as an individual, not as a number, as an individual, that we talk respectively to them and we take care of them individually.
And so how has this changed in recent years? I mean, is this due to the pandemic only, or is this something, are we seeing generational differences and changes that have been coming for the past few years or even decades?
I think you could say it's generational, but I don't believe so, because including people from my generation, I've changed the way they think about work, and what's in for us in work, and the pandemic as well has been kind of a tough call in terms of the world structural change and some of the big challenges. I would say there are three things when you think about the employer branding and how you help people to be, how you're attractive. The first one is what's in for me, of course, flexibility, hybrid work. And by the way, it's an opportunity because our statistics in LinkedIn, we see that there is 5 times in the last few years remote jobs which are proposed, which open a wide opportunity in terms of the type of talent you can attract, and you become a more inclusive company. So the what's in for me is super important. The second topic is that they want to say, how can I contribute? I want to contribute and be part of it. So we have a lot of programs at Microsoft, like last week we had with a Share EI, where we have entrepreneurs, and I had 100 people, collaborators, helping those entrepreneurs to work on social apps, ESG apps, and help them to develop new software. And this is pure contribution, so that they have the sentiment, they change the world. So how can I contribute is super important. And then, last but not least, is that how can we change the world together? And this is where the company has to be super bold in terms of how do they position themselves. You cannot go for greenwashing at all. You cannot go for inclusiveness washing. So we're super strong on this at Microsoft. I mean, we had bold commitment in terms of being carbon negative and remove all the carbon that we emitted on the planet since our creation. But at the same time on inclusiveness, and happy to say we've been part of the 5 companies awarded in terms of the most inclusive employer, which is not only about the gender, but we work on social as well, social diversity, which is an important one, origins. We work on generation, we work on disability, and we work also on sexual preference. Those are the 5 pillars. most of my employees are at least engaged in one pillar. So this is very important. They want to change the world, which is good news, by the way, because the world needs a little bit of help to change.
Yes, that's definitely good news. So it's the ESG you're talking about that's so important. And how, Alain Roumilhac, how can that also help address the talent shortage that we keep hearing about?
So companies, they have to change the way they hire people. And also to extend the talent pools so they are looking for. And so it forces so the companies to be less conservative. So because I think, and probably in France more than in some other countries, so the companies were extremely conservative. And those today we are not open so to new talent pools, so they will lose so in the market. So the question is, so where should I go in order to find talent pools? Corine mentioned the fact that if you open to the 4 or 5 days home working, so you extend so the population that you can address, but also say, okay, so the people that I'm going to hire, they won't be ready for work on day one. But they have the skills, they have the curiosity, they have the learnability, and so I'm going to look at people not having the skills, but having the profile, and if I train them for few days, few weeks, few months, so they will get the skills and the behavior I'm looking for. So this is a big change, much more inclusive, because you open to so disabled people, so you go to some minorities, some so people that who had not succeeded at school, and and all of this pushes to go to a more inclusive world and to include into the labor market people that had much more difficulties in the past. It was a decision that we had with Jean-Basser so a few minutes ago. So this is all the challenge for the companies. So the employee branding on one side, the inclusiveness and the opening to new talent pools, new way of hiring, retraining, so upskilling, so reskilling, all those elements which are going to change I would say the recruitment, but also the HR management of the companies.
And do you feel hopeful? Do you see that that employers are ready to meet these new demands? That there's been so much change.
No choice.
They can be agile.
No choice.
Yeah.
So today, or at least, or if you want to have only people ready to work today, you pay them 20% more. If you are able to pay all your population 20% more, maybe you can to find people today. If you say, no, I can't afford, you have no choice that I mentioned, or the other choice is, okay, I have less resources that I need, okay, I'm really going to reduce my production, but I don't believe that this is how companies should behave.
Right, and Corine, I'll ask you the same question.
Well, and I will give you a concrete example. I absolutely agree. I mean, we had a trend in France especially, I mean, to look for MBA in IT, and I mean, they're not. All those people are already employed, and we do believe that, you know, IT and computing should not be reserved for an elite. I mean, you can access to those jobs, and this is a fabulous opportunity, and we are concretely doing things at Microsoft. We've been engaging in a program since 2018 with social builders and Simplon, which are associations, working with as well Pôle Emploi, I mean the employment association in France, working with the region, and we are taking people who are actually unemployed, some of them more than 12 months to be honest, or which sector of activity has been disrupted, and we get them into the computing industry with a lot of success. So these people don't have, you know, have not gone through all the courses for the MBA. And the commitment we have is we do that with 300 partners. And the commitment is that after, you know, I would say the theory they have to go through, they go on an apprenticeship with companies and they get a job. We are up to 1,000 people we've been training like this, which is, I mean, a massive social impact. I love to do 100,000, but we are 1,000 people, which is a super good success. So we create that in the regions as well. It's not only in Paris. So we created schools for artificial intelligence, school for clouds, school for business application, and I'm happy to say we just opened a cybersecurity school We miss 10,000 people in France a year in cybersecurity. We opened the first one last week, so I'm super proud of it. And by the way, we bring as well a lot of diversity on top of social diversity, because you have 20% of women in IT, you have 11% in cybersecurity. It's a disaster. So that's something, I mean, we've been doing intentionally with social builders and Simplon is a cyber school, to bring those people to work. There's a massive opportunity, in fact. I mean, if we open our eyes and are willing to include different people.
Lots of good things on the horizon, I think. Well, thank you so much, Corine De Bilbao and Alain Roumilhac, for joining us here at the Manpower Group Lab.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.